the things that are important to me in our relationship at the moment changed because there were things that were important to me in the relationship in the beginning of our being together. But it's been a couple of years and I've changed and I've evolved. And I was just wondering, like, has it changed over the years? And I think some of it has changed.
Yeah. Well, I'm really curious to hear because there were some of these things that I think might have changed and some that I was like, what am I going to put in the top 5? And there was a couple of things that got left out that might need to come back in at times. And in some ways 5's not enough, but I think it also meant to say, actually, what's important right now? So.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into my third one, which was finances. The way we do our finances is important to me. Just in that we're on the same line with how and where we spend our money, and just having an honest, vulnerable conversation about money is important to me. And I think we've spoken about this on the podcast, that we've done so much work around money, and we were really honest about what, like how much student loans I have, and how much money I'm making, and like what are long-term goals about making money. And I really think that we have kept that going. And sometimes those conversations are not easy. But even though they're not easy, it's important to me that we're still open and honest around it.
Nice. Yeah, did not make my list, but I could not agree more. I'd actually love to at some point soon go a little bit deeper into that, because there have been a lot of things that I become clear the more I've gotten to know you around money, that I think, and our finances, that is just really, it's made our financial situation, though, we're still building businesses and we're still in an early phase in several of our ventures. And yet we've been able to stay, we've been able to weather, different challenges, even like getting out of Kenya, all these things. We've been able to deal with it so well. And I'm just so grateful for that. And I think we've been able to come up with some really good stuff that we can share. So I'd like to do that soon. But I agree 100%. For me, number 3 is simply effort.
What do you mean effort?
I mean showing up and really putting in the effort in the relationship. And, it's sort of like what we're talking about could be described as effort, but it's like our relationship has been really, really smooth lately. It's been pretty darn fantastic. And in those times, it's actually also easy to say, we don't need to work on our relationship. Our relationship's great, and it's been really good. So one of the things I'm actually hoping for, that I kind of a request putting out that came through me from my week 14 journaling was, is that I actually want to do something really specifically towards sort of consciously working on our relationship, whether it's a counsel or whether it's reading together or something. I mean, we have this space, we have our journal, but something like you and me together. So effort, that's what I mean by that.
It's, because my fourth one is similar to yours, which is like keeping the line of communication open, just because I think like it's so important for a healthy relationship to have communication. Like I need to be able to come to you with anything and know that I am not going to be judged for it, that you will listen when I need to be listened. And sometimes there's like nothing you can do. There's no advice. Like I'm not looking for advice. I'm just looking for you to listen. And sometimes like it's me, which can be really hard, because when you come to me with something that's bothering you, like it pains me and I just want to help you solve it, so.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I know exactly what you're talking about, because you try and help and solve all my problems. Sometimes you
Never
can't.
Never happened.
But yeah, just keeping those lines of communication open.
Yeah, nice. I think this is something that really has not been a major issue in our lives, but it's really important, and that's knowing the balance between honesty and process. And that means like there are times where I feel like I'm working with something. And, there's certainly been a lot of scholarship around one of the challenges in modern day relationships is that we make our partner our everything.
True.
And you and I have done that in a way that could, in certain circumstances, be rather unhelpful or unhealthy. Fortunately, we both have other people in our lives who we can really confide in. But that when I say the balance between honesty and process, it means that there are times where you're like, I'm really angry with you, right? And so what do I could be like, I need to be honest with you and tell you I'm really angry with you. But that might actually not be honest. The honest thing might be, yes, I'm angry, but I don't actually know how to communicate it well, or I just don't know how to process this on my own. So whether I have a therapist or I have a brother or I have a very close friend or whatever, somebody who I can go to and say, hey, I need to process this.
Yeah.
And so having that balance to know that like, you're like, come on, tell me what's going on, to be like, you know what? I'm processing something. And I need to be able to do that. So that's something that's really important to me, I think.
It's really important because sometimes we've been like, not the greatest mood of all times. And sometimes I don't even know, I've been journaling more and more when I feel unease in my stomach and I don't know what's wrong, or I have, I feel some anxiety and you're like, did I do something? And I'm like, no, you did not do anything. I actually don't know what's going on. Right. And sometimes it's just I have to make a big business decision or some sort of a big decision that I don't know what to do. And that you can see it in my face, you can hear it, but it's just like, in that moment, sometimes I don't even know that that's the issue. So just being like,
so then when I'm like annoying or something, or I say something dumb, you can like snap at me, you mean, where it's just like it really has nothing to do with me?
Correct.
Or you're just kind of cold and I'm like, wait, why are you not being loving towards me? And,
exactly. And I can say to you that, you know what, I'm processing something and that is okay.
Yeah.
So I like totally get that. And I think that happens in so many relationships where someone's going through something has nothing to do with you, but you take it so personal as the other partner. And then it just now becomes about you.
That's like, I can't believe how long it's taken me to learn this. And if anybody who's like not my age is listening to this, like get this. There's this real balance between like not letting something that's a problem stick around and fester without dealing with it. And then also saying, you know what? We don't need to fix this right away.
Yep.
We can kind of be like, go process, go deal with it, whatever you need to do. And like, it's still hard for me, but finally, like, thank God I've gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, she's being a little snappy. She's being cold. She's being distant. She's putting on her earphones and going into her own world and is making me feel like I'm not appreciated or not wanted or not loved. And you know what? Do that. And when you're ready to come out of it, you can. But like, it hurts my feelings, though it has nothing to do with me. I get sensitive. I'm like, come on, what's going on? I might try and cheer you up. And you're like, dude, the last thing I want is to be cheered up. Just like, let me wallow. Oh man, if I'd only known that years earlier, I would be a way, way happier person.
Also, I would say like, as someone who like does that, like I tend to process longer, is that also I've come to learn with age is like, it's okay for me to put on the headphones. It's okay for me to like lie in bed and watch Netflix and feel my feelings. Like, they don't need to be solved. It's like, it's not something that's going on for weeks. And to some people it might, but for me it's a couple days. And then I'm like, let me feel my sadness. I'm learning how to feel my sadness without having this need to solve it, fix it, talk about it, which is still hard. Because if I'm going through something, I'm like, I'm going to call my friend and talk about it. Sometimes I'm learning that it actually I don't need to call anyone. Like, I just need to sit with it and then it's going to be fine. Like, I don't need to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Just need to sit with it and process it.
Nice. For me, number 5 is simply respect.
Respect.
And I feel like I have that from you and towards you.
Oh, that makes me really happy. So.
And I leapfrogged your number 5.
You did.
Mine was just easy. Get it out of the way.
I have to say something. I think I said this a couple podcasts ago. I was talking to a friend and I was like, so why did you, like, what made you break up? And he was like, she didn't respect me. and neither did I respect her.
Wow. Really important to be able to recognize that, huh?
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, interesting. Like, I was just like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Like, I get why that relationship did not last.
Yeah. And there's a reality with that too, which is that sometimes like you might do things or like over time where I'm like, I don't respect that thing that you do. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me, particularly if when I say that, I'm not really talking about my better self. Like I'm cranky, whatever's going on is like, she's, a business decision you're making that to me seems ridiculous, or a whatever kind of thing, or a money decision, or, there's a million of them, and be like, and then just separating. I don't think that's a very good decision, but that's yours, and I can still love you and respect you. And you can actually make a lot of what I might think as bad decisions, but it's not like I'm not some sort of like the arbiter of great decisions, Like I'm a human being, so your decisions might seem like bad decisions to me sometimes, but like I'm some like 44-year-old dude who's like, I'm not a household name. I'm not, an award-winning psychologist or relationship expert, like I'm just a guy. So chances are I might think that this thing you're doing isn't great, but what do I know? Why don't I just shut up and watch and learn? And maybe you're right and maybe I'm not, and maybe, and then I can either like let you learn your lesson, or I can be pleasantly surprised and learn my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. My last one, growth and development, which we've talked about, I guess, like we just doing like courses and self-development work together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, there we have it. There we each have our top 5 things that are important to us in our relationship.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, and to our listeners, like I would want to say to you, like just take out a piece of paper if you're in a healthy relationship and jot down like what is important to you in your relationship, and has that changed over the years? Do you think those are the same things that are going to be important to you 3-5 years down the line?
And if you're not in if you're in a relationship that feels unhealthy, if you're in a challenging relationship, those things are also really important, just to be able to clarify very specifically what's important. Even knowing that, like Sarah just said, that might shift, but like, what is it right now? Because it might be something that's specifically lacking. You're like, right now I need this. I think that's really important. And then lastly, not only if you're in a healthy relationship, if you're in a challenging relationship, or if you're in between relationships, if you're like, I want to be in a relationship, I want to be in a healthy relationship, what is really important to me? And then to go back and question, are these really the top 5 things?
Yeah.
What can move around? Like the things that you brought up to me, like, the way you brought this up, a lot of those things were things that might shift. I feel like some of the things that I brought were like, I wasn't really serious about it, but I kind of loved this lightness that you brought. Like this right now is top of the list important to me. That's also totally valid. Like right now, I want to go to bed with you at the same time. And you know what, in 2 years or when we have kids or whatever, it's like, that may be bottom of the list important. Like I'm going to bed as soon as
I'm going to bed as soon as I'm tired.
But right now, that works. So, so thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I do want to remind you that if you like what you hear here, please do share the Interracial Couple podcast with your friends, family. And as you know, you don't have to be in an interracial relationship to love what's going on here. And if you're curious to learn more about the Lover's Journal, you can visit our website, loversunlimited.co. We've got a blog. There are links to the podcast and also to see more about the Lover's Journal. Any questions, comments, concerns, reach out to us anytime. It was so good to have you with us, and have a wonderful and beautiful week full of love.
Yeah, see you next time.